Before Cocomelon, she was Piggy on the railway. Before Vintage Buddies, she was Karuga Buddy. Thanks to Mr. Murimi, the literature teacher. Before Lemik, she was a go-getter with razor-sharp focus on her goals, daring to break the barriers that many shied away from or were afraid as they did not want to have the sunshine on their direction. She basked in the sunshine, and today she is living her purpose. Jane Karuga is a child of God, a mother to a Gen Z, founder and director of Lemik Leasing Limited, a company focused on SME, financial inclusion, focused on equipment leasing as a means to access productive assets for business operations as an alternative capital. She is a financial specialist with almost 2 decades of professional experience. Prior to setting up Lemik, she worked in several corporate organizations in insurance, banking, non-bank financial institutions, rising up to C-suite level. This was a goal she held as she started her career, and she achieved it ahead of a plan. Wow. She is performance-driven with a robust commercial acumen and expertise in equipment leasing, business development, relationship management, stakeholder engagement, strategic planning, financial and investment analysis, and leadership in the financial services sector. She has a proven track record and has had the privilege to set up 2 bank subsidiaries for leasing businesses that are in operation to date. One of the subsidiaries was the first bank-owned leasing company in Kenya for a leading bank in asset finance. A week ago, she was elected as a director in the Leasing Association of Kenya Board, an umbrella body that brings asset leasing professionals comprising of independent leasing companies, banks, equipment, suppliers, and other service providers in the leasing industry in Kenya. Can we give a round of applause? And they say when I mention your name, you just nod, so I know you're the one. You know, there are some statements you make and you want to look at the person you're making them to. You're the one. Yes. Congratulations. She holds a Bachelor of Commerce, Marketing degree from the University of Nairobi, Professional Diploma in Marketing from the Chartered Institute of Marketing UK, and Executive Certificate from the Strathmore University for Corporate Governance, Women Directors Leadership Program. She is a lifelong learner and believes knowledge is power. Outside her professional work, she is involved in mentorship and was part of a mentorship program called Mentor Me, where she successfully supported her mentee in setting up a training business that is thriving and looking to scale into production. She is also involved in mentorship of girls in high school at Precious Blood High School, Riruta, as an alumnus. And more recently at St. Hannah Girls High School. She loves music and appreciates good sound. And you just need to check the boot of her car. Who can do that for us? Or visit her home and see the evidence. Tunataka evidence. She loves nature. She loves nature travel to distress and clear her mind. Some of the photos on her nature sojourns have found their way in the LinkedIn stories, as there's a connection she gets when outdoors. The next phase of her life is focused on impact using her social media and professional skills and the grace of God. The next phase of her life is focused on impact using social media and professional skills and the grace of God. With a round of applause, let us bring our sister, Irene.
Thank you so much. I think from that introduction you can tell. I can tell stories till kingdom come. Yeah? So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So today I'm really proud I'm a storyteller. I studied marketing, but today I'm a finance person. But so I decided I'll actually write my speech for the first time, because if I start telling you, my stories will never finish. But before I start my speech, I want to acknowledge very special people. My story is really about my life, and I think in this room there are people who represent my life. I have Lynetta, she's been a childhood friend since Sunday school. There is Kate, I've known her for over 20 years when we started our career. My partner is Samuel, he's another story in my next book, but I know he's in a meeting somewhere. Then we have Liz and Sally, really beautiful ladies who supported me, especially when I made the big leap to what I'm living for right now. So I felt it is important to acknowledge them, because indeed, for me, all of them have been a part of my story. So please allow me to read my speech. I'll throw in a bit of tidbits here so that I don't keep us here the whole afternoon, okay? So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This for me is a momentous moment. Reason being, I've always loved journaling, and I found it a way of expressing myself. Over and above speaking, I think I discovered I was a mix between an extrovert and an introvert. I understand today it's called an ambivert. Yeah. So the reason why I say that is I relate very well in crowds, but I also like my personal space. And the reason why I do so is because I like speaking to myself, and writing became a form of expressing myself. So I've always maintained a journal, actually telling my stories. And the reality is, for those who don't know, by then, something I didn't mention, I guess from my introduction you realize I'm a nickname person. So I'm also known as Shiro, and I spell Shiro C-I-R-U, the Kikuyu way, proper, C-I-S-H. Yeah, so that's how I usually call myself. But there's something interesting about what I do, and by the way, today my speech is written in a pencil. I always walk around with a pencil. You may ask why. So if you read my story, it's called Faith and Values. I really love rewriting things. When you look at a pencil, it's not permanent. And the good thing about writing about a pencil, if you don't like what you've written, you can always rub, as opposed to cancelling. So for me, really, a pencil has been symbolic for me, because it's really been about rewriting what matters to me. And because of that, you realize my purpose has aligned to rewriting the stories of men and women who labor. And if you read my story, you realize I've taken on a big mountain currently, and it's about rewriting other people's lives. Then the same thing, why the pencil is important to me is the fact that we all have positive and negative experiences. So even if you read the stories in how we write, you'll realize a lot of us went through negative experiences, but we use them really as a pivot point to move to something else. And for me, that pencil is a symbol that even if you've gone through a negative experience, you can choose to rewrite your story, because nothing is permanent. The same thing, if you're living your life and everything seems positive, it cannot be rewritten in a day. Did you see that with the CSS? And I'm not being political here. Yeah, so this has been psychological, but it's really been a symbol of what my life has been, and that's why I've chosen to do so. So to tell you how bad this was, when Radido asked me to write the book, of course I asked him, how many pages is it that I need to write? Why? Because I was used to writing with a pencil and in a hard book. So guess what I did? When he asked us to write, the first thing I did, I didn't start typing out. I actually wrote my story with a pencil. So the day my deadline came for us to finish, there was a blackout. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have to submit a typed out copy. So I literally typed on my laptop, and then when it came to sending it out, I just hotspotted at once and I sent it out. That's how much a pencil means to me. So today, really, the inspiration I would want to give as part of our stories, nothing is ever permanent. Yeah, nothing is ever permanent. Any negative experience, nothing is ever permanent. You have the power to rewrite it. And that's why I say knowledge is power, because the more you're able to read and realize, and you remember my story is based on the fact that I used reading to gain my power back. And because of that, today I say I'm a lifelong learner. Every time I find it an opportunity for me to learn and to be able to share my experience. So my story really also, as I come today as a fifth speaker, it's also symbolic for me. I was telling Radido, 5 is my favorite number because it's the number of grace and favor. So everything I've gone through, I also attributed to the favor of God. It wasn't because of anything I did. Sometimes I was in the right place at the right time. But because my life is always destined by someone who's superior, in this case God, I believe I was where I was at the time when I needed to be. And especially today, it's very instrumental for me. I go to a church called Parklands Baptist Church. We are going through revival season. And one of the things I've done in the book is really to make a decree in terms of what I want to achieve. And it's actually a faith decree. And this week, it is a season when that is being embedded. So I felt that this launch was actually very instrumental in getting this out. So even as today, I am happy that I'm a published author. For me, it is a decree that will outlive me. Whether Irene is there or not, it is a decree that is sealed. Yeah. The other thing I would want to note is, for me, the book has been a reflection of a vision I've had for a very long time. And the journey that got me here was really based on the fact that sometimes you go through so many things and you don't know how you can overcome them. But one of the things that gave me encouragement is to know that every single time I jumped a hurdle, it created a new path for me. And that's what it has been. And that's why this book is really exciting. As I end my speech, I will say that part of this occasion is symbolic for me because everybody in this room is actually someone who becomes an accountability partner for me. Because as much as I have written the book, by all of you taking a piece of that book, probably sharing it with everybody, all of you will hold me accountable to really what I've written in terms of the next phase in my life, because it's not about me, it's about making a difference in the lives of the people that have been brought for me. And as I end, I also want to congratulate all my co-authors, and I'm grateful to Radido and Zion Publishers for allowing us to create something new and beautiful. The fact that we were all strangers and we had our 12 stories woven together, I like looking at numbers very symbolic. 12 is a very special number, and the first person I can attribute it is the disciples of Jesus. So all of us are coming in with different strengths, but the beauty is as I leave, even after this launch, I know I have 12 sisters who we share a common bond that was brought together by someone who's truly a stranger to us. As you read, be inspired and may our stories be a guide for the younger generation. I love Gen Zs, but I'm not one of them, but my daughter is. And then may it also shape the position of men and women. I know sometimes the conversations about women can seem more amplified, but today I'm glad to note that even with the application, there are men who've really been very instrumental in terms of supporting us. And I'll give a big round of applause to Radido. He's been a real he for she. So maybe we can give a round of applause. So for me, it's really to say thank you all for coming, for supporting us, and for also making this event real, because if you did come here, we would not have had anybody to share our stories. And because I had promised to sing the nursery rhyme, nobody guessed it. Does anyone know the nursery rhyme? Does anyone know? In the introduction, it was hinted. Do you guys want me to sing for you? Yes. So when I was growing up, and by the way, if you see my photos, I don't know where that came from. I used to be sung for a nursery rhyme. And this nursery rhyme, I didn't know how bad it had affected me until I really wrote my story. So this nursery rhyme, I know for some people based on their age, you may never have heard it. But anyway, I'll sing it. So the nursery rhyme used to go, and at that time, you know, the trains were there, the Kenya Railways train, the old ones. So the nursery rhyme used to go, Piggy on the railway, picking up stones. Up came an engine man and knocked Piggy's stones. I say, Piggy, that's not fair. I say, engine man, I don't care. So imagine being told all that and being taunted like that for more than 10 years. That is what I was called, a pig. Do I look like a pig? Yeah. So that's the reason why I say names, people can call you anything to define you, but it is their opinion, not yours. Yes. So thank you so much.